Everybody, back again, and today we're answering the question you want to know. Is Steve Fox a good boxer? Well, the answer is, if a boxer moved like Steve Fox, they'd get annihilated. Now, hear me out before you go raging in the comments down below. Steve Fox does a lot of these way over-exaggerated moves, where he's winding up and charging, and he's spinning around unnecessary down low. These are all things you don't want to do in a boxing match. When you're actually boxing, you want to have as little of a tail as possible as to when you're going to throw and where you're throwing from. You do not want your opponent to know where your punches are coming from. Taking these big, huge wind-up swings is not how you throw a punch. But based off the combinations that Steve Fox has, what's viable, what's BS, and screw it. For this one, since he's mainly a boxer, what kind of boxer is he? And as you may see by the change of scenery, there's no heavy bag, there's no concrete here. Reason being, that happened. And trying to find an MMA bag that doesn't cost like $600 to have shipped, that's pre-filled with the weight that I want, is a pain in. So we just got Bob, we filled him with 300 pounds of sand and rock at the base there. So he's nice and heavy, 400 pounds I think, somewhere in that neighborhood. But basically he's gonna be our new assistant. And I feel like this is gonna work out better because on the heavy bag, yes, he has legs on the heavy bag, so I can throw leg kicks and things like that on the heavy bag, but I can always just tie a kick shield around Bob's waist here if I wanna do leg kicks. The reason this will work out better is for things like punches, I'll be able to show angles, and things like kicks, I'll be able to show angles better as to where you're attacking and why you're attacking there to strike at different parts of the body. So let's get the gloves on and get started. All right, first up, the double jab. It's a boxing staple. Next. So here we've got a 1, a slip, and a 3 to the body. Good old-fashioned sneaky liver punch. Jab to elicit a response, slip the response, liver punch. If you've ever been hit with a liver punch, 'tis a nasty thing indeed. 'Tis a nasty thing. Here we've got a double jab, followed by a cross. Yes. Next. So I think either Steve Fox is trying to feign by saying 1, 2, 3, 4, or he doesn't know what 4 is supposed to be. 1 is jab, 2 is cross, 3 is lead hook, 4 is rear hook. This is simple. Instead, he goes jab, cross, lead hook, dipping straight to the body. That's not 4. That's back to 2. It'll work. Next. Man, it feels dirty just throwing that. That's dirty boxing. Steve Fox is a dirty boxer. He just punched that man in his thigh. Would it work? I mean, if you can land it. It's much harder to land a punch to the leg than it is a kick to the leg, simply because with a punch to the leg, you have a much smaller weapon and a much more mobile target. Whereas with a kick to the leg, you have much longer range and a much larger weapon to attack with, being your shin. The 1, 2, 3 is always practical. The shot to the leg might land, or it'll force him to move. But I mean, if you end up hitting his kneecap, that's really gonna hurt your hand. Lead uppercut, thrown almost like a jab, just an underhanded jab essentially to the bottom of the jaw with a cross right after. I like that. If their guard's up high and their elbows are wide, you can punish that by throwing that. Maybe land that by itself a couple of times, throw your regular jab, throw that every once in a while when you see those elbows open up. And when if they give you the reaction of dropping, rather than just closing their elbows, that's when you send that overhand, or that cross, over top of those dropped hands to the forehead or the nose. So you kind of throw your way around when you're throwing your jabs and your other strikes, feel for the opening, and if they present it, follow through. Good tactics. I'll take it. Dirty boxing and being a show-off. Already looking a lot more like Jake Paul, minute by minute. Have a stomp to their front foot essentially, and then he steps in on that stomp. It's kind of hard to emulate without feet with base I have here, but anyway, he steps in and throws a rear hook, after which he switches his stance back and forth and drops his hands and does a little dance while laughing. See, I don't know if you know this, but when you stomp on somebody's foot and punch them in the face and then you dance, they don't react too happily to that. People tend to charge you and smash you in the face when your hands are down and hurt you in very bad ways. And god damn it, Steve Fox. So we have a feigning body hook with the rear hand into a dip, into a shell, into a lead hook to the liver. Another sneaky liver punch. Sneaky liver punches. Showing off. Fighting dirty. I really don't like Steve Fox. He's a very dirty boxer, and he's a bit of a show-off. Would it work? Yes. You would get them used to you throwing those rear hooks, and then when they start to react to it every time you feign that, you feign it and hit them from the other side to punish them for believing your lies. Flying overhand. I'm sorry, is Steve Fox a kung fu fighter or is he a boxer? Because that ain't boxing. That's more like a kung fu kind of flying dragon punch from, or I'm not sure what you would call it, but that's just what I would assume the name would be, because you're flying and you counterweight yourself. I mean, in a boxing match you might get knocked out, you might get lucky and land it, but I don't know. I don't really like it that much. I prefer a Superman punch, thrown off of a feint jab. Or if you're going to jump, since I did Taekwondo, I like hammer fists or ridge hand strikes. A good jumping hammer fist would be a much stronger strike than a jumping overhand because of the body mechanics. And it lands on the back side of the ear. Bonus points for concussion damage. Alright, let's do one of his 10-hit combos so that way you guys don't ask me about it in the comments, because I know you will if I don't. And then we'll call this one a day. I'll give you my thoughts. So in a real fight, it is practically impossible to throw a 10-punch combination without getting hit, without a response, without any kind of problems. Thinking you're going to do this combination from the get-go is a no-go. So in conclusion, if Steve Fox moved more like an actual boxer, then he would be a good boxer. Given that his combinations are pretty solid, I would say his moveset's good. He's just a show-off who's a bit cocky, a bit arrogant, yeah, he fights pretty damn dirty. For a street fight, he'd be a decent fighter because, you know, street fighters usually swing really big anyway, so he's more like a street fighter boxer. But I mean, that's about the level all the Brits are at when it comes to boxing. That's my hot take for the day. I'm just joking, by the way. No hate, bro. I know there's always been a feud between American boxers and British boxers. But I mean, it's okay. We'll all get along in the end. But that does it for the Steve Fox deal. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any suggestions for other Tekken characters you would like to see. I have a couple others lined up. Now that we have Bob, we can continue to make these videos. I was getting worried there for a second because I was on the last one that was scheduled to upload before I got Bob, because they had him on back order. Anyway, enough about my problems. If you like the video, well, do that thing. If you want to buy a sword or a knife or a polearm or something like that I made, go to the Etsy store, link at the end of the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.